Welcome to Heroes and Droids, your guide to movies and TV shows about superheroes, sci-fi, Disney, and action. From Marvel, DC, from Star Wars to Star Trek, from James Bond to the Fast and the Furious, we will discuss theatrical films and streaming delights you care about most. And we have some news for you tonight. We have some trailers, and we have some reviews. This is going to be exciting. I am your host, Doc Rutt, and joining me tonight are the crew, starting off with the Slat Man, Christopher Slattery. How you doing, sir?
I am hype.
Hype.
I don't know about y'all.
You're hype. All right. Also joining us, award-winning filmmaker Christopher G. Moore. He's still Christopher G. Moore ends. That's cool.
It hasn't changed unless you know something I don't know about. But yeah, unless the Empire decides to
you'll be getting a letter in the mail.
Yes, yeah. Thrawn has come after me finally.
Thrawn!
And I gotta go.
That will happen one day. We'll be talking about Thrawn. All right. Also joining us is comic artist and co-host of Decades of Horror, the one and only, the Chad Hunt. How you doing, sir?
Hey, I'm good. I'm very good.
Thank you. You are very good, sir.
That's what my mother says.
Yes, and she is right. All right. We have a lot of news, so let's dive into it. We're going to start off with our upcoming news. Christopher G. Moore, sir, you remember this stormy disaster flick from the late 90s? Maybe it was 1996. Maybe you have a history with it. I don't know.
The Geostorm? Is that what?
Geostorm is not it.
Oh no.
Day after tomorrow?
No. Yeah,
2012?
Actually, it's a little movie called Twister, which
it's not a game adaptation.
No. And actually, I was mad when it came out because I had this idea. I was going to make a big tornado movie because I hate tornadoes, and that was going to be a big thing as a director. And what happens is they make a tornado film called Twister. The Twister. And actually, back in the day, before I was a award-winning filmmaker, I was actually a movie theater director in a small town in North Carolina called Dunn, and I managed the Plaza Twin, and we screened Twister came out, and I decorated the whole theater like for the movie Twister with like a big tornado spinning and a truck had careened into the theater. So yeah, so I have great memories of it. I've seen it a bunch of times going up in the projection booth, but it looks like Twister is coming back. Because we love natural disasters in America.
We sure
we pay for enough of them. So yeah, and actually Helen Hunt is going to be returning. So that's going to be interesting. I mean, I think now with a lot of other films from 80s and 90s and so forth coming out that are sequels to the movies back in the day, like Top Gun, I think now everybody's thinking, "Ooh, we can cash in on this because people remember this." So again, Hollywood's all about the intellectual property, and even though it's been 15 or so years since it originally came out, so yeah, I'm actually, I mean, I think it'll be interesting to see now because technology is much more advanced when it comes to CGI and that kind of the effects and that kind of stuff. So we'll probably have a better looking cow flying by the screen this time around.
We got cows.
Yeah, so I don't know. I don't know if they're going to try to up their game, if because we had like a sort of a big tornado last time, or if this is going to be a hurricane or what's going to happen in this new one. But at least we know that Helen Hunt is going to be returning.
Well, apparently they're going to be calling it Twisters.
Twisters. Okay, so there's multiple.
It's like Sharknado.
Yeah, well, there'll be sharks in those. But yeah,
Sharknado really. Of course, Bill Paxton unfortunately won't. Is no longer with us. Can't be in the sequel. I guess they're going to Lego sequel it and bring. What?
I mean, it makes me wonder if they're going to like Bill Paxton's character's son is now.
If they
on the trail,
they can hire his son to be.
Well, that's true too.
And he could be, Helen Hunt's son in the film, so that would work.
Yeah. So I don't know. They haven't. I don't think they've announced anybody else, but at least Helen Hunt. So maybe some of the other tornado chasers might show up in it as well. So, but I guess we'll hear more about it as that comes along when it actually goes into production.
Are we excited about this? Anybody?
I'm excited about it. It's again, it's sort of like it's like a lot of those movies back then. It's like what's it what's the fire one? Something draft, you know what I'm talking about with
Backdraft.
Backdraft, you know, where they take like and they add like monster noises. You know? You know, they did the same with a tornado where they just make it like an actual creature to some degree, and so it becomes almost like the creature feature, natural disaster. So I don't know. I think it'll be interesting. I mean, the original Twister, you know, was definitely over the top. I mean, I think holding on to a pipe when a tornado is above you isn't going to really save you.
They had the leather straps. Come on.
But yeah, and the tornado seemed to just was like Jaws. It just seemed to go after people.
But it going through the drive-in theater, man. That was
something
really
else.
Well, and that made me scared of going to drive-ins.
I think that was the purpose. Of course, you know me. I'm an easy target. I'm looking forward to this. But as we find out more, we'll be sharing with you. We'll be sharing it with you here. Yes, I can speak. Up next, we have an interesting one, especially with Chad Hunt here being part of our Decades of Horror 1970s podcast. We have a series of books that were actually written in the 70s, set in the 70s, and kind of follow a very unique and beloved, I would say, type of film from back then. What the hell am I talking about, Chad? Tell us.
Well, back in the 70s, as you know, Bruce Lee was a huge deal, and everybody was doing kung fu. Even people that didn't take classes there was even a song about it. So that kind of stuff was really big back then. And there was a series of books that came out by Mark Olden called Black Samurai, and it was about this I think he was a veteran or something like that learned all the super kung fu ways at the time, and sort of became like an adventure hero. And I read one of these books, and I think it was probably the first one, and it's very much in the vein of the old Executioner novels, the Destroyer novels. You know, those type of adventure, man's adventure,
almost spyish.
You know,
in a way.
Almost. So they were really there were a lot of these books around back in the day, but this one was I remember it being action from beginning to end. Everything, you know, there weren't any dull spots in the books. So to kind of update that a little bit, John Wick, filmmaker Chad Stahelski, he's teaming up with Lee Dana Jackson to write a new adaptation of Mark Olden's Black Samurai novels, and Netflix is going to pick that up. So that's going to be super awesome, especially if they have it or film it, I think, in the vein of one of those old 70s kung fu movies, or one of those 70s crime movies. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That nice and gritty, and I think Stahelski can pull that off. Stahelski's going to direct it, and Jackson's going to write the movie. So it's going to be good. I think it's going to be good.
I'm looking forward to that. Well, you know me, I'm a 70s fan as well. So if they keep it in the 70s, perfect. If they try to modernize it, I'm a little shaky, but I'm all about this. Yeah,
I think it'll go over well if it has that old it's a Quinn Martin production, you know, type of thing to it. And so I'm looking forward to this when I heard about it.
Yeah. Is Netflix the right place for this? Do you think they'll be? Is it going to hit the theaters?
I think so. I don't know. I'm surprised it didn't go to theaters with, you know, the guy that did John Wick doing it. You know, he's probably got a lot of clout from those movies. I'm surprised it did not go theatrical. But yeah, I think Netflix will do a pretty good job with it. I don't know, budget wise, maybe you might not have a big a budget for something like this for Netflix. I don't know, but we'll see. but hoping for the best because it's a good. I read the one book, but it's a good series. Yeah, he's sort of think James Bond played by Bruce Lee or something like that. It's that kind of deal. So we'll see.
Well, they had one of the guys who actually worked on some of the John Wick films that directed Day Shift, so they already is they've already sort of like tapping into those stuff. And the John Wick Chad directed the 3 John Wick films we've had. So he's an amazing director with action. So to take that, his sort of like who started out as an actual stunt person for Keanu Reeves. So for him to sort of like take his action stuff and put it into something with Black Samurai, that just makes me really excited to see all the action sequences are going to be in this. So even though it's on the small screen, I kind of hope that Netflix starts doing what they're doing with some of these films where they release it in theaters for like a week or so before it goes on. Because I'd love to see them on the big screen. But yeah, I know I'm excited about it.
Yeah, I like that in the article it says that the other books were globe-trotting thrillers that featured power-mad millionaires, black market warheads, pimps, voodoo priests, and solid gold katana.
Very comic booky.
It feels like it could be very Austin Power-ish, but minus the Austin Powers.
Probably if you read it today, it would probably seem very.
Yeah, it kind of feels like that. But I think they could ham it up to where it is sort of like a more more fun James Bond, almost like the Kingsman, but more crazy.
Especially these guys.
Well, moving on to other news, the DCEU is finally getting some headlines thanks to Black Adam hitting the theaters this past weekend and being The Rock's or Dwayne Johnson's highest grossing film at opening film. So that's good news. We've had a lot of interesting news this week from Walter Hamada leaving. And James Gunn is secretly preparing a next feature. We'll have news about that as we learn more about that. Right now, we just know he's preparing one, and that's great. But one of the big questions, especially with Black Adam, maybe small spoilers, but hey, you knew. What news do we have about a certain DCEU character there, Slap Man?
So small spoilers is kind of underselling it because this actor came out I swear not even 4, 5, 6 months ago and said that he was done playing this character, and this is why this is such big news, because Henry Cavill is came back and said that he's returning for to play Superman, and they are in pre-production for Man of Steel 2. It's probably not going to be called Man of Steel 2, but a sequel to Man of Steel.
Yeah, it's a Superman feature, I think is what they're calling it. So, yeah.
But it's I don't know. I hope that they have better writing, because Henry Cavill has never been the problem with any of the things that he has been in as Superman. It has always been everything else around him that has been a problem, in my opinion. And I would love for him to actually have a good movie associated with this role. Yep. But I'm not holding my breath.
Well, he did start off strong with Man of Steel, even though the collateral damage part of it kind of took the wind out of a lot of people's sails. But the Justice League didn't do him any favors.
Neither did Batman versus Superman.
For the most part, there is some. Well, I don't know. You can secretly be a fan of that, maybe. But anyway, I like him as Superman. And is it Cavill or Cavill? I thought
Cavill.
Because he's also a very busy actor, being The Witcher and also Sherlock Holmes, right? And Enola Holmes series. Anybody else want to comment about him returning as Superman in a feature?
I have another comment.
Okay.
I'm actually kind of surprised, because I was expecting Warner Brothers to kind of blow up everything associated with the DCEU after their already filmed movies that they haven't canned and start from scratch.
Well, they want to. Okay, so that is true. But they also want to concentrate on the 3 main properties, right? Mm-hmm. And which is, Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman. Of course, I think they're going to include some of the, the Flash and Aquaman in there as well. But the problem was Walter Hamada, who was not. There was some kind of friction between him and Superman. I mean, it's out there as legit, right? I mean, I don't even think it's not a rumor, is it, Christopher? Right? It's legit. And now he's gone. And The Rock is, Dwayne Johnson was very eager to have him in there. And there's a lot of reasons why he was able to pull that off. So, yay.
Yeah, I loved Henry Cavill as Superman. And I'm, despite a lot of my friends, I'm a fan of Man of Steel. There's some things in there that didn't quite make a lot of sense, but there were things in there involving Clark that really struck a lot of nerves with me. That when he went back home and his life growing up in Smallville, and Kevin Costner never should have died the way he did in that. I agree. But people clamored for a long time. I want a realistic Superman. I want a realistic Superman. Well, they got one here. And there's consequences. There were consequences to that character and the things that he did in the movie that I found interesting, because it's never been done before like that in a realistic way. Superman saves everybody. Well, sometimes he can't. And Cavill brought that duality, that he was torn over that, and brooded about it a lot. And he really, I feel like he understands who Superman is, and and he wants to be that hero of everyone and stuff. He made you believe it. So I think he's always been my favorite Superman outside of Christopher Reeve, and so I'm hoping for the best. I just hope they kind of get Superman back to where he used to be, and I think they can do it with Henry Cavill.
Christopher, you keep shaking your head. Do you have what is?
I mean, I like Cavill as Superman, but I'm not a big fan. I'm a fan of Henry Cavill as Superman, but I'm not a fan of Man of Steel. I think that the way the story went about it didn't really do his character service, in my opinion. I mean, I am more of a fan of the Christopher Reeve Superman, and I think it almost feels like, I think after we got Captain America, Marvel showed that you can still have characters that are goody two shoes and good characters, and can still have issues and stuff, but you don't necessarily have to make it a gritty, and that's always been my problem with the DCEU in general. Just they sacrifice the character just because they want to be so gritty about stuff. And my problems with Snyderverse, but I think for anything, it just makes me excited. I want to see someone else, like another director, take that character in a different direction, and I think that's what we need. I'd be more worried if Snyder was getting back on the horse with that, but I think someone else could sort of steer that character in the direction that we need him to go. Because I think he's great as Superman, but I think story-wise, it just never really worked for me.
Well, each character in their own movie needs a different outlook on a different vision for each character, because those are three very different characters. And sometimes if you have the same director bringing his whole baggage with him to each character, the movies end up looking a little bit alike and dark, and especially in Zack Snyder's universe, dark. And Wonder Woman doesn't need to be dark. Batman needs to be dark. Superman is, like Chris,
supposed to be the antithesis of that, right?
Yeah.
Superman gets his power from the sun. How can he be dark?
Well, and I think the biggest problem, not to bring it on like a whole bash DC thing, I think the biggest problem is the whole time they were playing catch up with Marvel. They're trying to rush everything, and the reason Marvel got to where it is because they told these different stories. It showed a longer arc by the end of it. So you don't necessarily have to get to evil Superman so fast or do all these different things that they've done. So I don't know, but I'm excited because I think, getting rid of Henry Cavill so quickly when he hasn't really been able to really do his character justice. Pardon the pun, but
I
just realized after I said that. Yeah, so I'm excited to see what they do with it, and but at the same time, I want to know who's going to be directing this, you know, so yeah, I'm excited, but then it's like, oh, let's hold off on putting other people, you know, from other movies and stuff. But I guess that'll be affected if we ever see like that one movie that's taking so long to come out.
What if James Gunn's next feature is Superman?
He's not going to do Superman.
I don't think so, because I think he'd said a while back that that if he did something, it would be his own thing or be like another character or whatever. He wanted to put his spin on it because I guess he sort of did that with Suicide Squad, where he sort of like, but then he even kind of rebooted a lot of that. It made it better. So, but yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be he kind of dealt with that a little bit with Brightburn, that he worked. I mean, he directed, but he was producing and helped to, and that was almost like an evil Superman story.
Yeah,
so,
that one even darker than the Superman dark. All right, well, let's move on to one article that I meant to include in our notes but forgot to. And Christopher, I apologize. This should have been in your lane. But we got some Star Wars news, right, Christopher? Out of nowhere, it seems, because there's all these people that are supposed to be making a Star Wars film, and we're waiting for something. But Damon Lindelof apparently is in the process of developing a Star Wars movie for Lucasfilm, and has hired Oscar winner and Miss Marvel helmer Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy to direct, or they're all in talks because this hasn't yet been greenlit, but it looks like it's closing in. And then the writing talent along with Lindelof is Justin Britt Gibson. And of course, Lindelof was, behind Lost.
Yeah.
And he did Watchmen, he did Star Trek, and he also wrote the prequel for Alien called Prometheus. So
don't forget, he also did Tomorrowland.
Well,
fantastic film.
There might be some that we want to forget, right?
Ever since Lost, I don't trust Damon Lindelof.
Ever since the Hulk versus
but
Wolverine, but that's something different.
Everybody has their highs and lows, so we can't really be. People are always willing to focus on the negative aspects of stuff, but then there's always the positive stuff, because there's a lot of stuff in Lost. I mean, TV series wise, I've never felt the same way that I felt about certain episodes of that.
Lost revolutionized television.
Yeah,
it really did. It made serialized television a honest to God thing, right? So
yeah.
And it hasn't gone away yet. Now, we've had a lot of names, Christopher G. Moore, from Patty Jenkins to Taika Waititi. Yeah, that's it, right? Ryan Johnson, even Kevin Feige, all these names. What do you think of this particular individual being a part of it out of nowhere? Even J.J. Abrams has been out there somewhere, right? At one point.
Yeah,
he already did it. Sorry, he already did it. Shut up.
Yeah, he. Wow, how soon you forget. He only directed 2 of the most recent Star Wars films.
I got thrown by Ryan Johnson because he did one too. So.
Yeah, he did. I don't know. To me, it's too early to know because I want to know what it's about. I mean, because. I want to know exactly like what kind of story are they going to be telling. I mean, granted it's an interesting combination. Because I think the other person that they worked on Miss Marvel, didn't they?
Miss Marvel, yep.
Okay, so I mean, if anything, I'm hoping that it definitely has some diversity, I guess, when it comes to the storytelling or the characters that are in it. So I don't know. I'm just, although I am one of those people, I watch most Star Wars stuff in general. So, some of it can be good and bad, but the majority I don't really hate on it that much. But yeah, I don't know. I'm intrigued by that combination, but I kind of wish I know what it's about.
We'll know soon enough, I'm sure,
because there's been so many people that have been attached to Star Wars projects, I don't really know what to believe anymore until I actually see them like it's in production. At this
Right,
point.
when we see the first little clipboard, clackboard going on.
Christopher G. Moore's last comment is why I'm not holding my breath and I'm not getting excited about it. I mean, I got really excited about the Ryan Johnson trilogy, got excited about Patty Jenkins' work, you know, and those seeming, and Taika Waititi's like movie, and all three of those seem to have been canned because of creative differences. I'm expecting this also to get canned because of creative differences, because
creative differences.
Well, you know, if only they wanted to hire me,
they probably can you because of creative differences.
I would never leave for creative differences. Or would I?
All right. Well, there's our news. Even a surprise one for the guys. Sorry about that. For this week, we have trailers up next. And a big trailer dropped today. Right, Chad Hunt?
Yes, it did.
This is for Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. I am so looking forward to this. Of course, I believe you guys are as well.
Yes.
This is next February, the third in the Ant-Man films.
People tell me the same thing.
And has a very interesting villain in this.
That's why we made this.
Almost like it's going to be a recurring villain.
Wait,
maybe.
You're sending a signal down to the quantum.
I'm really excited about this.
I am.
So am I. So am I.
I mean,
now that we've actually seen a trailer, yes.
Well, yeah, I think, and evidently this has got more than what they showed at the Comic-Con or whatever. But I just love the world that they get sucked into. It ends up being leaning definitely more into the sci-fi
Look at
aspect
that.
of
Isn't that beautiful?
I know some really beautiful stuff in this.
Of course, you like that actress too, right, Chris?
Yeah, she's from Freaky.
Yep.
I like the use of Elton John in the.
I know, it's crazy, isn't it?
It feels very Guardians of the Galaxy with how they incorporate the music into this.
And which might be for like its benefit, because anything off Earth kind of has that Guardians like feel so far.
Well,
I like that. I like we have the Pims involved too. So.
Yeah.
It isn't what you think.
That reveal of Kang and his like actual purplish face.
Yes.
Yeah.
It looks like it's a helmet though, and not.
Hey,
Bill Murray.
Yeah, and there's a lot of this definitely feels more Star Warsy.
Yeah.
If you help me.
See that?
Isn't that great?
I love that, because you were wondering. I mean, I know it's probably just his helmet probably shines light on his face to make it look like that, but.
Quantumania.
I'm one of the few people that I've loved all the Ant-Man stuff.
I do too.
People gave
hilarious.
the second one so much shit, but I love the second film.
I love all those tiny gags and giant stuff, and I love all this.
I mean, I'm
giant gags.
Well,
giant gags, and
I'm still kind of bummed that we didn't actually have Edgar Wright directing the first one, but and I know he took a lot of the elements from that. But I think with the second one, I think the director sort of made it his own and sort of took some of those elements. But yeah, I'm really excited about this. And again, we need more humor in this universe.
I really like the tone of this. It looks funny, and still it looks like it takes the threat seriously of Kang. And so it looks. I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, it also starts Phase 5. Right, it's the first official Phase 5.
I'm over the phases.
You're over the phases. I don't know.
Just tell stories. Stop trying to connect everything. Just get to telling stories. Stop with this sort of everything's got to be.
So what it's leading to Avengers Kang War? Is that what it is, or is it?
I don't know.
Kang Dynasty or something like that. There's some Kang thing, and
The
then
Kang
Secret Wars.
Dynasty,
Yep. Yeah. So Jonathan Majors. We're going from one Jonathan Majors film to another one, and he's jacked in both. Now,
Kang's just in everything, isn't he?
I know. Now, I unfortunately have not seen the first two Creed films,
haven't
and
s-
I
I
want
haven't
to.
seen
I
either
want
of
to.
them.
I haven't
Yeah.
either.
And
But
I
this
wasn't.
trailer,
I wasn't excited, but man, this trailer has changed my mind. Let's take a look at it, shall we? Creed 3 coming out also in
7 years of my life,
March of next year.
living out my wildest dreams.
and I don't know. Michael B. Jordan is such a solid actor. It's hard.
Eh.
It's hard to find a movie that's considered it's hard to find like a role that he's been bad in. Even in bad movies, I feel like he's always been, decent to good to great.
Yeah, and he directs this film, so.
You don't remember me, huh?
But the whole idea of these two just really is gripping, I think. And Jonathan Majors is totally jacked. It's just like, what happened?
Glad to have you back out, huh?
I know I've been away a long time, but get myself in shape. Still got gas in the tank.
Come by the gym. Thank
I'm
you.
training for this Marvel movie.
I know.
Here's what happened.
Definitely get the best of both worlds out of it,
We was
right?
like brothers. I was the best though, but I never got a chance to prove that. That's cute.
But it's really interesting that the Rocky franchise is remains alive through these films, right?
Yeah,
I know
yeah.
what you're doing, Donnie. You don't owe this dude nothing. Damien's fighting the world and he's trying to hurt people. I vouch for you. You think you mad? Try spending half your life in a cell. Watching somebody else live your life.
But-
I'm coming for everything.
I think Stallone is still involved with this. He's producing.
Producing it, yep. Because the Rocky character, well, we won't get into that. Might be spoilers, but
Yeah.
We passed.
Then maybe you just have to find it.
there you go. There's so many. We got Killmonger versus Kang with little Valkyrie on the side. So,
There you go.
but this kind of feels like an Academy Award contender, doesn't it? I mean, it just has that
It's got
power
that
to
look
it.
about it.
Yeah. Oh man, that look.
Let go of your fear. Let go of the guilt.
It just feels like it's going to have a lot of emotion behind it,
Walk into what
Mhm.
which is that makes for great conflict.
Yeah. It's a great trailer. I like the trailer.
Definitely. Directed by Michael B. Jordan. I am excited for this. Christopher, you were quiet. What do you think?
I mean, I'm definitely interested. I mean, I'm a huge fan of Jonathan Majors. He can do no wrong. I mean, in Lovecraft Country, he was amazing.
Yes.
And I think he's one of the best actors out there right now. I mean, and I think just the decisions he makes as an actor, even how he sort of, when we first met Kang in that end of Loki,
Yeah,
his choices he made where he turned into almost like Willy Wonka, it's just, I don't know. And so I think every new performance, I just love the decisions he makes as an actor and how he sort of delivers dialogue and how he responds to things. I mean, so yeah. And I mean, I used to watch the Rocky films back in the day, but I think the more fun Rocky films were just where they're fighting the big wacky, like the Rocky 4 with the Russian, or when he fought Mr. T and these different characters. So I've never really been interested in sort of the Creed movies that much, but this actually makes me want to see. I mean, I want to see this one, but it may make me go back and watch the other ones just to get ready for the third.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to catch the first two before I see the third one. But which I think it's as a film lover, I think it's a shame I haven't checked them out before now. So
yeah, I heard they were trying to do a spinoff of Dolph Lundgren's character or
their son,
family,
the son, yeah.
But then I know that Stallone came out against that because I guess he felt he needed to be part of that, or he didn't feel like they needed to expand more than Creed, but I don't know.
Yeah. Well, he's a smart man. He's done well for himself.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. We kept the trailers down to 2 this week. 2 powerful ones that are going to get this totally banned on YouTube. But hey, let's move on to our reviews. Up first is Star Wars Andor Episode 7. Chad, you haven't been keeping up with this, so you're
I have not. I will
Okay.
dutifully sit here and listen to
All
you
right.
guys' opinions on it.
because we do have another review lined up after this, and you could probably guess what that review is. But let's talk about Andor episode 7. I'm just going to lead off because I was poo-pooing last week's in a major way, and I'm back on board this week. I
Wow.
I thought you were going to go the opposite direction.
I thought you were going to go even more negative.
I really enjoyed how this episode kind of brought the character. I kind of I like the scenario and the sceneries of this, the locations of this episode better. To me, I really enjoyed this. Slatman. What about you?
You haven't given your score or your favorite scene
We'll come
yet.
back around. I'll do that. Oh, you want me to do that? Okay, I'll give him my score. My score is I'm going to go back up to 3.5. 3.5. Favorite scene. What am I going to choose for the favorite scene? That's a tricky one. I really liked the relationship with his mom, right? And when she basically said she can't leave, right? She's the passion that she had for the rebellion and what all that event, like she doesn't know that he's involved with that the heist, right? And the fact that that action is triggering the emotions that she had. I really appreciated that. And of course the little robot, I like the trash can robot. So that's where I'm at. Slatman?
So I feel like I have been the most positive out of all of us for Andor so far, and that trend continues.
Yay!
I'm assuming because this is very much a talk episode, but I loved it. I loved the conversations that were had. I loved what it's setting up. I really enjoy the kind of the scenarios. I really enjoy what it's setting up and I really enjoy the world building too. I don't know. I appreciate it for what it is, and I love it, and I love how there's so many things that I've been able to pull from comics and movies and shows and books that I've read that take place during this time, and how it all like seems to connect, or like how it all kind of makes sense. And it's like things that happened in this episode, it's like, oh crap, I know that from reading this, or like it's just it's awesome.
And we
that
do
being
follow
said,
go ahead. I was going to say we followed the Imperials a lot more.
Yeah. That being said, because it is kind of talk the episode. It kind of, I don't know. It was kind of missing some intensity to it until like the very end.
Right.
So yeah, that's just. So it's not as good as like some of the actiony episodes that we've gotten, but for me it's like a solid like 4.25.
Oh, wowzers! Okay,
yeah,
cool.
I really liked it. My favorite scene is Smile. I really liked the actress that they picked for Mon Mothma, and I loved that scene with her and her friend from the bank.
Yeah, if you're going to do conversations, that's the way to do them. There are some really strong conversations going on in this, because I picked one as well. Christopher G. Morse there.
I thought I was watching the wrong episode.
No.
Because I was like, wait a minute, he ate cereal in the previous episode. I must be on the wrong episode. No, it was. This is the most pedestrian Star Wars as ever Star Wars.
It is pedestrian.
I made jokes previously that this was like Star Wars The Office, and they literally have cubicles. They have a freaking cubicle scene in Star Wars.
They do.
So we have work party conversation, we have manager party conversation, we have cubicle conversation, going to your cubicle conversation during a a job interview.
Yep.
What has happened to my Star Wars? I got really mad because somebody on TikTok was saying that, like, oh, you know, nerdy Star Wars fans, you wanted a mature Star Wars, and you get it. This is not maturity. This is the boring parts of life that I don't want to watch. I mean, Star Wars is riddled with great conversations, and I will say, I'm stealing part of your favorite scene, Doc, because that scene where she says what love is compares to that scene from WandaVision. Because she talks about talks about how love. He's like, I don't want to have to worry about you. It's like, well, that's what love is, and that's one of the most emotional scenes that's ever been in Star Wars. But everything else is not like that. Everything else is just these boring conversations that, or I guess are well written for Star Wars, but still it's the boring parts. And it's like, how many times do I have to see him eating Star Wars version of cereal while his mom berates this guy before he goes to his job interview? So yeah, this episode annoyed me again. So I was on back on track last episode. I was like, this is, and granted, I don't necessarily have to have all kinds of crazy Star Wars scenarios, but Andor is starting to get on my nerves too, because he's just Grumpy McGrumperson. He's even when he's in that Star Wars version of Miami.
Yeah, that's true. It's the Star Wars version of Miami.
Where the guy even had music that sounded like Miami music. Even he was like, "Oh, how dare I gotta walk around all grumpy around all these hot people and hot aliens or whatever. I just had sex with this hot girl. And I gotta go get the Star Wars version of snacks." And it's like, come on, what is going on here? I mean, you know, I don't know. Maybe I'm being too picky, but I just like, this is.
Well, okay. So to go back to the Imperial side, I enjoyed where the guy ended up, the cereal eater guy.
I don't really care about him at all.
Well, I'm feeling they're building something, or at least
they are. But
I would like for that to happen. But I really like the other character we're following, the female,
the ISB agent.
I kind of like that. Okay, but it's still you know, we're getting back to the boring elements of what the original Star Wars films were. So all these. And maybe that's what this whole series is about, is the politics and that kind of stuff. But I don't know. I mean, that's more interesting. But again, I watching job interviews and you know, I don't know.
Well, I like that she.
It's like,
I like that she held her own. Right?
Yeah, I don't know.
She got her. Anyway,
this is like has all the extra stuff you normally cut out of even good shows. This is all the boring spots that should have been edited out. So now I kind of wish this has been like less episodes. So this I'll give this a 3, and that's being kind, because I think that if it wasn't for that one scene with Fiona Shaw's character, which she deserves like
she's so good,
an Emmy nomination for just that one scene.
Yeah,
because that scene is very powerful. But I don't know, even Andor, I feel like he's one level. You never see him happy. He's just same level through everything. He's just like, he's like the Grouch from Sesame Street. Even the Grouch has more emotions than he does. So I don't know. They need to take this somewhere. I hope we go time jump, like, you know, the House of Dragons. We time jump to some other realm where he actually has more emotions than Fiona Shaw's robot has more emotions than Andor.
Oh, that's hilarious.
I mean, he did just get sentenced to a crap ton of time in jail. So
for nothing, he did nothing.
Well, yeah, but it's like, I don't know. Then it just feels too much on the nose. Like, oh yeah, we what's it when you falsely notice someone, you know, like when cops do that. It just felt a little too on the nose. Like, oh, he looked like these other people of a similar people of color or whatever. I don't know. There's a lot of things in here that just feel like
wrong place at the wrong.
Yeah, it's just weird. Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't feel very cohesive. You know, we're jumping around all these different things to where I feel like the storyline is getting a little mixed up. for me. So I think people calling this mature is ridiculous, in my opinion.
All right. Well, next week we may or may not have an episode. It's Halloween for us horror fans. We may not be recording one. So if we don't, we'll be covering 2 episodes on our next episode of our Heroes and Droids news. Stumbling over that like a champ. Let's move into our review of the number one film in theaters this weekend, Black Adam. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson is finally, after 14 years, is finally on screen as this character. A character that, Chad, I think you and I both enjoy in the comics. I'm not sure, Slatman, if you're a fan. But we also get some JSA action with Dr. Fate, Hawkman, Cyclone, and Atom
Smasher.
Mm-hmm. So and we also get the Thawns. But we'll get to that.
Hey, take care of my suit.
Hey, that's my jacket.
Take care of my suit, Cunningham.
Sorry, Christopher, we just spoiled a little cameo, but you'll be over it. You're not going. So let's find out what our thoughts are on the latest DCEU. Does it course correct? Does it bury itself? Do we like Black Adam? Do we like The Rock in DCEU? Or Dwayne Johnson? I guess we should say Dwayne Johnson at this point. Chad Hunt, sir, I can't wait to hear what you think about this. Are you well, tell me, are you a fan of Black Adam in the comics?
I know of him. I'm a big Shazam fan, so so I knew of him. I was vaguely aware of all the Kahndaq backstory for him a little bit. So I kind of went into this not knowing too much about him. So I found this movie, as far as superhero movies go, it's very action packed. It's got a lot of very cool scenes in it, where he takes on the army or the inner gang at the beginning of the film. That was just impeccably done. And it was very cool superhero action. Dwayne Johnson as Black Adam felt like Dwayne Johnson as Black Adam.
Yeah,
you know, in the comics, he speaks very differently than Dwayne Johnson, just like he got off the bus in California somewhere, and he's like, "Hey, where can I get a hot dog?" You know, that's how he just this matter of fact. And I don't know if that had something to do with how his powers work, but it was cool to see the wizards from the original Shazam, and how that tied into Black Adam's powers and everything. The kid in this, I hated because he was terrible.
Oh, the kid! You didn't like the kid.
I just did not buy him at all. The fight scenes with the JSA were awesome. Dr. Fate,
yes,
and they did Dr. Fate right. You know, they did it right, and it was very good to see. This is sort of to me, it seemed like a very good starting off point for something better. You know, once this starts to expand, it just it kept my attention. It entertained me. You know, from through the whole thing, except for when Black Adam was trying to figure out his own catchphrase.
Yeah, that was a little corny, wasn't it?
That was a little stupid, and there's stupid stuff like that peppered throughout. But it was still, as far as if you're not looking for, you know, somebody just yell Rosebud at the end of this film, you know, it's just a big, dumb superhero action movie, and I think it delivers very well on that point. Maybe not dumb, but
yes.
Okay. we know where Chris is going with it.
We do with that.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So yeah, I really enjoyed it, and it was just all around. I thought it was good.
Score,
I really
favorite
did.
thing?
Score, I will give it a 3.5 out of 5. And my favorite scene was when Black Adam was released at the very beginning, and he just started killing people.
Yep.
I mean, just killing people.
Like, yes, like to
That-
Ash, like the
Yeah,
bone.
to
and
Ash,
that
it was
bone,
a very intense action scene, I thought, and it set the tone for how the movie was going to go. He just killed everybody, which I found refreshing.
Yep. I have a lot to say about it, but let's let Slatman step in here, sir, who thought this might be dumber than dumb. Go ahead and give us your thoughts. We want to know your score.
No, I said I was agreeing with a dumb action superhero part. This movie, it has a lot of good things and a lot of bad things, and at the very end, all I can think of is this is a painfully average and overly long superhero movie that stumbles in so many ways, but yet has so many cool set pieces that it keeps you entertained for minutes at a time, but it's not entertaining for 2 whole hours. Like I don't know. Like there were parts that I was just bored out of my mind, but then they'd have a cool fight scene. But not every fight scene was cool, in my opinion. Like, and this movie kind of falls flat for a lot of the fight scenes for me because it does the thing that I have such a huge pet peeve for, which is over reliance on slow motion in fight scenes. I hate it when directors use that, and it was painful in this movie. It was painful. The only time that it worked was when it was with Cyclone, I think.
It did work well with Cyclone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But just punch and just, or axe or Hawkman's axe or mace like barely missing or like grazing off of like a piece of armor or something. Like, I don't know, it didn't work for me, but there were parts that really did work for me. Dr. Fate worked for me. I really liked Cyclone. I thought Atom Smasher was kind of annoying. Hawkman had his ups and downs. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson as Black Adam was entertaining enough, but ultimately I thought that there were, I don't know.
Well, they really screwed up when they had another damn sky beam in this movie.
Yeah,
they kind of did, didn't they? They did.
Yeah. He seemed a little too, I don't know, maybe American is a good way to put it for this character.
Yeah, considering he's supposed to be, well, yeah.
I was wondering like what they do about like how does he learn to speak English?
I think he just magically starts speaking English.
Well, he's a magic character.
But he literally comes out speaking a different language, and then he just magically just starts speaking English.
It was the wisdom of Solomon.
Yes.
I don't know. I don't know. It's
how convenient.
I'm gonna give this a 2. Like
2. Oh!
It's just painfully average to me. And the last act, I was so bored during the last act. The final act,
the CGI was kind of horrible.
It was really bad CGI, and I had a really hard time paying attention because I was not entertained by that last act, except for Dr. Fate. Dr. Fate.
Yeah, I was going to say Dr. Fate. I mean,
my favorite scene was I don't know, anything with Dr. Fate in it.
There you go.
Chad took my actual favorite scene, so
oh, sorry.
It's okay. But yeah, I really liked Dr. Fate's big moment. No spoilers.
Yeah, he does have a big moment. So I wasn't a fan of Black Adam until the 52 series, Chad.
Yeah.
And what is it? Issue 45 has the Black Adam cover where he's on the throne just like he is in this movie. Not that kind of throne, Christopher Timor. And
I would have been more exciting if he was
on that throne. Yeah. Okay, so maybe I'm an easy target. maybe I was in a good mood. I love this movie. I had such a good time with this. I wasn't bored at all. I do agree that DC still has a villain problem. This one succumbs to that, kind of like Wonder Woman did at the end, right? Kind of has that same thing. Yeah, there's a beam in the sky too. I didn't realize that until you said it, and normally I kind of point that out. But having that character go up against the JSA primarily, at least until one point, I love the JSA in this. JSA are some of my favorite characters, and I was a little nervous about the Hawkman character at first, but I warmed up to him pretty quickly as he started to not be so stoic and he started to loosen up a little bit. I thought he did a great job, and of course, Dr. Fate is fantabulous in this. It really is there is a bummer in that, but I thought they realized him so perfectly, and we even got to see the one shot with the eyes. But I was afraid that the kid that we didn't like was going to end up. There's a storyline that could have happened with the helmet that thankfully they didn't do.
Oh.
You know what I'm talking about, right? Kid Fate or something like that. Anyway, so and Cyclone, the character I never cared about, was so wonderfully realized. Her character looked fantastic. And Atom Smasher is Atom Smasher. Now, the best thing about Atom Smasher is who his uncle or his father is. Or his uncle. Is an uncle or father. Whatever it is, that was hilarious. I was not expecting that. Henry Winkler being on there. But somebody I heard mentioned that he was a little too close with the mask to like Deadpool, and I heard that before seeing it. So unfortunately, every time I saw him on screen, I couldn't think about it. I wish they hadn't said it. I'm sorry if I'm saying this to you before you've seen the movie. But I had a great time with this movie, and I do not apologize for that. So 4.25 from me. How you like that?
Wow.
So different. But I recognize it's flawed. But
yeah.
But I just had for me, all the fun things won. At the end, I walked out going, wow, okay. I could see more JSA. I want to see where they, everybody knows what the Stinger is. I think by now we probably talked about it earlier in the show. I want to see that happen. I want to see that realized. I don't know if we will. I don't know if we'll get another Black Adam movie. I also liked, there's a little bit of a twist to his backstory, Chad, in this, with who got the powers.
With his son. The son and everything.
I really enjoyed that. I thought
I
that
did
was
too.
really good. I thought it improved on the character.
Yeah, I did too.
And it made his position and his disposition.
It explained his outlook on things when he was awake and why he was just killing people and so angry, and it explained a lot.
Yeah, I never said I was a hero. So but again, I always thought once they announced that Rock was doing, Dwayne Johnson was going to do this character, I thought it was a perfect match. So
all he needed was a little pointy hairline, and I think his ears in the comics are kind of pointy too.
They are, but there's a lot of reasons why they're not going to do that.
Yeah, there's probably this is probably a better Submariner movie than what we're going to get later on.
No, I think you're wrong, sir. All right, favorite scene. Oh gosh, I kind of want to go. Well, no. Where do I want to go with? So I love the cover of 52-45, and they basically did that in the movie. Of course, you've seen it on the poster and stuff. And he goes to such great length to get into the pose. And they have the little joke, what do you think? And it feels wrong. And to me, that was, I liked where this character ended up, and that was a good way to kind of bring that out without being too corny with, a different emotional beat that they could have went with the because the archaeologist, the character, which is it could be seen as a certain character from his past, so that would turn up. well, anyway. This is not the news you were looking for. But there you go. That's our. Does this make you want to see the movie anymore, Christopher? No, not at all.
I may watch it when it comes to streaming, maybe. I mean, I've seen the end credit sequence.
And that's the important part.
Magically popped in front of my eyes while watching TikTok. So.
It really is. It's a big screen movie, though. I mean,
it is.
The sets are beautiful, and
I may go see it. You know, I don't expect a lot from it, but
I didn't think Dr. Fate was as Dr. Strangey as a lot of people are saying. I felt there was a difference.
I think they did that probably on purpose, because in the comics, Dr. Fate was just a ripoff of, or ANDOR.
Well, wasn't he first though?
He probably was.
I don't know.
But seeing how Strange has already hit the movies before he did, maybe they tried to change it.
It's just weird how a lot of these characters are just copied. There's so many characters that copied each other. You know,
Flash,
like
Quicksilver.
Shazam,
I mean,
all these
Batman,
different things.
Moon Knight,
Superman,
early Moon Knight.
But they all have their counterparts in one company or the other.
Yep. Well, there you go. That's our reviews for Star Wars Andor and Black Adam. We went long tonight. Oh, that was fun. All right, guys. Christopher G. Moore, Chad Hunt, Slatman, thank you for joining me. This was a lot of fun.
Yep. Thank you.
Pew pew pew. Always
pew
fun.
pew pew. We hope you enjoyed it as well. Please hit the like and subscribe buttons. Help us get to our goal of 1,000 subscribers here at Heroes and Droids. And we'll see you, if not next week, in the coming weeks as we return with more news. We have Wakanda Forever, Chad Hunt, Black Panther 2, if you will, with a certain Namor. Although there's changes there too, sir. Good changes.
Yeah.
That's coming up, and that looks fantabulous.
We'll see.
We'll see. Oh,
yeah.
Me and you're we're gonna have to have words. I think.
I mean, I'm kind of on Chad's side. I've had a bad gut feeling about this movie for a while.
I'm gonna die on another hill.
Well,
something's not sitting right with me about it.
Well, I think that Chad Boseman not being part of it, it worries me that part of the soul of what made that great is his inclusion in it. So, and I think with it being about like his character being dead and all these different things, I'm wondering if it's still going to feel the same, you know?
Yeah. Well, for me, from the trailers, it's going to be very emotional. That the beginning of this movie is probably going to make.
Yeah, but then it also takes that initial basic story and has them battling other people again, like we see a lot of these Avenger movies. So it's almost like taking that small story and making it, you know, just like every other Marvel movie.
Well, in November we'll be talking about that, so it's coming in a few weeks. All right, guys, that's it. Let's say good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.